It ought to have been a miracle all would have rejoiced over, a deaf boy hearing his very first sound. But the world was told who did it, and all fell apart. A homeless black kid, seen no, heard no, had accomplished what science had failed to do. And hope, which had started as this, turned into something so much more sinister. Because, in a status-obsessed, skin-addicted world, miracles don't necessarily bring smiles. In silence, the Donovan estate had existed for 12 years. Behind its marble walls and carefully manicured lawns, little Ethan, the only son of the millionaire, had never ever heard a sound. No laughter, no lullabies, only an unbroken silence in which his mother smiled too brightly and his father looked away from him. The doctors had explained that there was nothing more that could be done. Money could provide comfort, but not a miracle. Throughout the city, far from the groomed streets and chandeliers, there lived another boy under an overpass. Isaiah was his name. He did not have any family, shoes, or anyone to hear him out. But there was something special about him, something the world chose not to notice. He sensed things that others could not, heard things that others did not believe existed. Their lives were never meant to intersect, one born to privilege, the other to want. Yet fate has a peculiar tendency to overlook borders. For on a still afternoon, a tempest would brew, a moment so inconsequential it might have passed without note. And yet one encounter would shake up everything the Donovans thought they knew about money, value, and who deserves to be termed miracle worker. What neither boy understood was that this encounter would not only alter a life, it would reveal a truth the world wasn't prepared to accept. It started on a drizzly afternoon, the sort that caused the city to blur into gold and gray. Ethan's mother had urged him to remain in the house, but his fascination was more powerful than her fear. He strolled down the white marble steps, pursuing the cadence of raindrops on glass. That's when he spotted him, Isaiah, standing by the iron gates, rain-soaked, holding a frayed backpack as if it were everything in the world to him. Most would have turned a blind eye to him, another homeless boy in the storm. But Ethan didn't notice dirt or difference. All he noticed was someone who looked back. Their eyes locked up, one boy from silence, one from the cacophony of survival. And somehow, without saying a word, they related. Isaiah smiled gently, lifted a hand, and for an instant Ethan listened to it, the soft pinging of rain on metal. A sound he had never heard. His frame went stiff, his heart racing, confusion transforming into awe. He dashed back indoors, attempting to describe to his mom with wild gestures, but she merely scowled. It couldn't be real. The doctors had uttered, "Never." But the following day, Ethan hunted for Isaiah once again, and the same thing happened again. Every time the boy was close, the silence within Ethan's world fractured a little bit more. At first, it had been the rain, then his heartbeat, then the gentle swish of wind. Before long, the estate of the family hummed with incredulity. Doctors were summoned, experts flew in, news correspondents stood at the gates, and when they discovered why, the ragged black youth who had somehow managed to do what science was incapable of, the tone began to change. What had started out as a miracle began to smell like scandal. Whispers circulated. Coincidence. Trick. Impossible. The Donovans' friends fell silent at dinner parties, their smiles drawn tight. Ethan's father deemed it nonsense and sent Isaiah away. He said miracles didn't surface from the streets, particularly not from the likes of him. But Ethan wept, tugging at his father's sleeve, pleading for him to listen. The boy who once existed in silence now wanted only a single sound, his friend's voice. When finally cornered by reporters outside the gates, they did not ask him how. They asked why he was there. Did you touch the boy? Did his parents invite you? Are you running some kind of scheme? Their words cut deeper than hunger ever cut. Isaiah, the gift-giver of sound, was treated like a thief. By nightfall, gates were closed, guards posted. The Donovans became quiet once more, but not due to deafness, due to shame. And yet, late that evening, when the lights were extinguished and the world was sleeping, Ethan heard something different. Whispers. Soft, a voice, Isaiah's voice, blew through the rain. "Don't forget," it whispered. Ethan held his hands to his ears in fear of losing it. But in the morning, Isaiah was nowhere to be found. Where, no one knew. Only one thing was sure. The world saw a miracle, and declined to believe it due to the color of the hands that performed it. Word of the miracle boy traveled quicker than truth ever has. In a matter of days, headlines crowded the screens. "Millionaire's deaf son healed by homeless child?" Cameras encircled the Donovan mansion. But beneath the glint of lenses and obligatory smiles, something sinister fermented. When journalists questioned Isaiah to Ethan's father, he replied, the ideal response of a man defending his reputation. "We don't know him," he replied calmly. "Our son's recovery is through advanced treatment, not street superstition." The words rang out on all channels, redefining reality in one sentence. But Ethan knew better. He'd experienced the miracle. He heard due to Isaiah, and seeing his father shake hands with physicians attributing something to themselves that they never did, he spoke up for the first time before the world. The onlookers gasped. For the first time, they listened to Ethan's voice, shaky, quivering, yet alive. "He's lying," he said. It was Isaiah. There was chaos. Cameras turned to the boy who had been exiled, but by the time they caught up with Isaiah, he was already being pulled away by police, charged with trespassing, with coaching a child, with being a threat to the family. His wrists in chilly metal cuffs, rain streaming down his face, Isaiah did not struggle. The same hands that had created life now received treatment as if they were diseased. The same voice that had created sound was muzzled by the wail of sirens. Ethan chased after him, crying out his words that shattered the sound of silence wide open. "He made me hear!" But nobody heard him. Not the officers, not the crowd, but a handful of quiet hearts behind their monitors, not knowing what they were seeing. A miracle, or a warning. And as Isaiah was pushed into the police cruiser, he glanced back at Ethan one last time. No rage, no terror, just a glance that said, "Now you know what silence really feels like." Days went by. The news moved on. Cameras discovered new scandals, new diversions. Isaiah's name was forgotten in headlines, just another story digested by the silence. But for Ethan, the world was no longer silent. Every noise had a weight. The chirp of birds, the sound of footsteps, even his own voice. Each brought him back to the boy the world would not see. His father's company flourished again, donations poured in, and the family pretended peace had returned. But Ethan stopped speaking. He refused interviews, cameras, applause, because what good was hearing if the truth stayed buried? Months afterward, he faced his father at a fundraising gala, surrounded by diamond smiles and designer gilt. And in that moment, he did what Isaiah had done. He shattered the silence. He spoke the truth. Every syllable shook through the hall, revealing the lie, calling out the boy who had provided him with his first sound. Some gasped, some averted their faces, but others listened. Ethan's confession went viral, not for glory, but for the pain it bore. A boy who was born into privilege had at last realized the price of a voice silenced. And in another city, another volunteer spoke Isaiah's name softly during a nighttime prayer. Because although the world might have forgotten him, his miracle continued to resonate. Racism does not always come in a uniform. Occasionally, it disguises itself with honeyed words, courteous smiles, and closed doors. But every time a voice is raised, Every time truth cries out louder than silence, the world tilts, even if only by an inch. Perhaps then the question is not how a deaf boy heard. Perhaps it's how many of us are still refusing to listen.